Hello, everyone. Floyd Zuber here. We left off with domestic tranquility in the last episode, and now I want to talk about the fourth of the six principles identified in the Preamble to the Constitution of the United States. Provide for the common defense. Now, typically, we think of common defense as part of military strategy to protect our shores from foreign invasion. Now, this includes all the funding and the planning that goes into its administration. There have already been too many episodes of abusing that responsibility, and I want to go through a few examples. Now, the President of the United States takes an oath when being sworn into office, and the words are, "I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States." Pretty much all other government officials include protection from enemies, both foreign and domestic, and you would think that's implied in the presidential oath as well. Well, maybe not so much if you're a Republican. In making that oath, we have a reasonable expectation that the president will act in the best interest of we, the people of the United States. In the lifespan of this country, there have been many wars, actually too many wars. I say this because the Iraq invasion was particularly disturbing to me at the time because it was being popularized to the public. As a country, we suffered a terrible tragedy on September 11, 2001, with the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. The fourth attack was diverted when the passengers heroically fought back only to lose their lives when their airplane crashed into a Pennsylvania farm field. Well, at the time, it made perfect sense to go after Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda, just to get some form of justice for the American people. But while the manhunt for bin Laden continued, a new theory was hatched by the Bush administration that Iraq's President Saddam Hussein somehow cooperated with bin Laden in the September 11 attack. To add a measure of plausibility to this new theory, G.W. Bush announced that Hussein had been accumulating weapons of mass destruction. That was all we needed to know to go there and kick some Saddam ass. Unfortunately, Hans Blix, who was the chief weapons inspector for the International Atomic Energy Agency, had gone into Iraq, but he couldn't find any of those weapons. So, send in the troops anyway. Then what? 8 years go by. More than 4,000 troops killed. Over 30,000 suicides among those troops. At least 210,000 Iraqi civilians were killed, and that was an estimate. The total cost was $1.1 trillion. That's a lot of zeros to look at. And that's quite a significant cost for an 8-year war. If you spread that cost over 34,000 U.S. lives, 4,000 killed and 30,000 suicides, that works out to a cost of $29 billion per soldier's life. Was it really worth that much to have our soldiers killed? So, what else did we get for our money? Well, we pissed off our allies. We destabilized the region. Who could ask for anything more? And that was how George W. Bush took care of a foreign enemy. For the veterans of the Iraqi invasion, who survived with crippling injuries, how have Republicans responded to the health care that they needed and still need? To Republicans, it made sense to cut budgets because it would cost too much. But $1.1 trillion wasn't too much for an unnecessary war. U.S. intelligence was ignored, then revised to accommodate the invasion of Halliburton into the Iraqi oil fields. A quote by Hans Blix about the Republican fetish and justification for those oil fields. He said, "I found it peculiar that those who wanted to take military action could, with 100% certainty, know that the weapons existed and turn out to have zero knowledge of where they were." And that pretty much says all you need to know about the rationale for the Iraqi invasion. So much for the foreign enemy. What about the domestic enemy? I remember seeing them on the news on January 6, 2021, roaming around the Capitol building. What were they doing there? It seems that we have a former president who didn't like the results of the election. Some kind of self-appointed militia group decided to intervene in the constitutional certification of the election results. We, the people of the United States, had a fair election and deserved to have the outcome honored. For some other people, it was difficult for them to understand that 81 million popular votes are a bigger number than 74 million. It was also difficult for them to understand that 306 electoral votes are bigger than 232 electoral votes. There must be some very low limit that these people can count on. Anything over 10 has to be a mystery. Well, there must have been some expectation that the results would be nullified because it sounded as if there was a party going on while Trump was watching the events unfold on a TV screen. Music in the background, Kim Gargoyle or whatever her name is, gyrating to the music, or was she squirming? I don't know. What a show. And the Republicans keep pushing this type of reality TV programming. That's what I call it. It certainly sounds that way because it isn't politics and it sure as hell isn't civil discourse. I see both of these examples as an abrogation of the contract between the government of the United States and we, the people of the United States. Republicans keep pushing their ideology. Maybe they're not Republicans anymore. Has anyone thought of that? In the next video, the topic's going to be general welfare. No, that's not the name of some military commander. Feel free to stop the video at any time so you can copy down the titles of the previous videos before this one so you get an idea of what led up to this series so far, up to date. We still have a few more to go.